You mentioned something. You talked about executive, coercion. Also, you were saying that there will always be some support from the executive. For instance, we saw policemen outside, the premises where that was supposed to be happening, perhaps to forestall any breakdown of law and order. But one would say, if there are only 5 members in there, is the law not being broken down within the confines of this is, without prejudice to whether or not, whatever is going to happen in the court, whether or not law is already being broken down within the confines of the House of Assembly. And then you talked about fraud in one instance, and you said the police can actually come in and investigate. If the police is already being used as an instrument, is there any hope of the police being able to do an independent investigation to find out what exactly went wrong?
Well, I think you have even assisted me to say that these are the complexities. But let me take it, I think there are 2 sides of your question. The one is, if the police or any law enforcement agency appreciates that these are just 5 people in the hallowed chambers of a state of legislative house in the state and are about to carry out, it does not, the police cannot at that point, in my view, begin to stop the proceedings or purported proceedings of the house. Their responsibility will be to maintain law and order and not to delve into the validity or legitimacy of the exercise going on. And I would think that where they will go wrong is to begin to question what they are doing there, except there is a corresponding either petition or move by the other party saying that, please, would you assist us in the interest of the peace of this state to stop those people from even holding that exercise. If it doesn't come, I would imagine that the brief of the police would be that, we're getting some signals here, and the tensions are high, that, look, all is not well in the State House of Assembly.
But how can
before you allow it to degenerate to the extent where law and order will be broken down irretrievably, you go there and maintain peace and quiet.
Let's also look at another angle. So
except that I didn't address the other leg of
so that you can shed more light on this. Perhaps you must have heard stories about you had this immunity, you're immune within the confines of the National Assembly or the Assembly complex to do whatever you do. That's why you have seen people carrying wood and every other thing, even the mace, and even fight. There's all usually free for all. So is it possible to say that is why sometimes you see the police stand idly by why some of these things happen? Because
I thank you for this question. I think it's a golden opportunity to clarify this issue once and for all. First is that the issue of immunity does not include legislative members of either the state or the National Assembly. Secondly, and more importantly, is that the question of legislative immunity inures in favor of parliamentarians so long as the issue of legislation is concerned. So if I proceeded to the House of Assembly or the hallowed chamber of the National Assembly with acid or a machete with intent to inflict bodily harm on my colleague or any other person in the gallery, the fact that I'm a legislator and I was going for the business of legislation will not exonerate me from my criminal liability, notwithstanding that those acts were perpetrated right in the precincts. So please, the caveat to enter when these things are bandied around is to say, yes, that is a law, but it is only to the extent that you were carrying out legislative activities. For instance, you go to the, you are in the session, be the open session, plenary, or even committee members, and you are making serious statement that would ordinarily activate the right of the victim, the subject of the discussion, to bring in defamation action. The fact that you were saying that right in the course of your legislative activity and within the precincts of the National Assembly or the State House Assembly will, to a large extent, exonerate you from that liability. But if you carry a gun, or like our people do, and cease to reason with your head, but with your fists and muscles, and go and inflict, in short, if that person dies there, you will not even be tried for manslaughter, you'll be tried for murder, even if it dropped dead in front of the maze.
But the one in Port Harcourt was struck out.
Again, we go back to the question of the ingredients of the offense, the prosecution, the body of evidence that they have, and all that. I mean, when
what more evidence do they need?
If you,
Chamberlain,
Chamberlain, if you, and this is where people should also sympathize with us, the lawyers. If you are driving in a haste to come to your office here, and suddenly a young school girl or boy, jumps across the road and accidentally knocked down, after 2 days passes on, people like us will insist that there was no intention to kill that lady. Even if the corpse is there, the medical report shows that it is. These are issues. These are issues. I think we will be distracted if we go into the nitty-gritty of those ones right on this platform.
Do you still remember the second leg you wanted to
That
address?
leg has
been overtaken by issues.
But the way this particular one is, because I already see that, look, many did predict that, look, there was always going to be one political situation or the other in that state, especially after Honorable Faleke said he was not going to attend that inauguration. He still insists he wants to be governor. But now that the governor has said, look, count me out of this one, I'm not involved in any of this, what do you see eventually happening now? Because this 5, if they insist that, no, the speaker has been impeached, now they have to go to court to go sort it out. And now, as though that is not even enough, National Assembly weighs in. And then the other group says, no, National Assembly, you cannot wade in. So what happens? Is the Assembly supposed to be, or is it going to be under lock and key? What if the other group, maybe if they are 16 or 17, say, we are going to have our sitting no matter what happens? What can the police prevent them?
Well, you already seen that play out, because we listened to the group of 5. We also listened to the substantive speaker, saying that could, an outright illegality, that couldn't have happened. It's good to make these projections, but as lawyers, we are not trained in that. The much I can say is that, look, we've not had the last of this. It is possible that both parties will continue to dig in. First, what that will be, don't forget, the National Assembly merely visited, isn't it? That is a kind of fact-finding mission to clearly understand and then report back to the House that will decide whether or not to move in on that. But what they cannot do is to stop the National Assembly from taking over. And this is where I appeal to them to say, look, once that happens, it is the state, and by implication the citizens that suffer seriously. Because there is no way the members of the National Assembly in Abuja can superintend the affairs of the State House of Assembly with a view to giving the best in legislation and their core mandate more than the
But they did it for
Ekiti. It happened in Ekiti.
And Rivers.
And it doesn't detract from the part that I'm making, that it is not the best. Quite frankly, it's even against the principles of federalism, where Abuja will be lording it over Kogi or Rivers, as you put it.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Malaki Ugomado is a legal advisor, Movement for the Liberation of Southern Sahara. He's also the president of Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. We will be back in a moment to focus on another matter entirely today. Don't go away.